And welcome back, guys. Hasn't been that long, but wrenching on the bike once again. Today we're going to be addressing something that I noticed not too long ago, and that is that my bike has been eating the belt. Now, some bikes run on chains, and some bikes run on belts, and some bikes even run on drive shafts, believe it or not. So this Sportster in particular runs on a belt. It's like a Kevlar belt with like some special lining that makes it super duper strong. Should be good for 30,000 miles, but that's not the case with this belt. And I don't know if you can see it over there, but there are some missing teeth which engage with sprockets both under this cover and sprocket on the actual wheel. Well, technically they're pulleys, not sprockets, but one equates the other in this case. It's not a hard job, doesn't require many tools. I've done it once before, do it once again. So we just need a little jack stand or some, a little platform to raise the bike up to get pressure off the wheel. We need a few sockets, one wrench, a torque wrench, and a ratchet. And a few Allen keys to take off the covers. So that's what we're gonna try to do today. No reason to prolong this anymore. Let's just take it off. Tell you what we gotta take off. So we're taking off this cover right here and the cover underneath it to get access to the sprocket that comes from the transmission. We're gonna take off this shock. We'll try to snake this all out without actually removing the wheel and the wheel axle. We have to loosen the wheel up, which is going to be axle on this side right here. I'm gonna take out this cotter pin, just loosen up this bolt, and then we're gonna loosen it up here a little bit as well. Just a few little twists of the wrench just to make it all loose. And then we're gonna loosen up the adjustment nuts right here. They're on both sides, here and there. And that's exactly what tightens up the wheel back against that sprocket on the actual, whatchamacallit? Yeah, I just lost it. The axle, there you go, the axle spacer right here. The new belt's not in here, but might as well do it now. The belt should come later on today. Let's get on with it. So first things first, let's get this jack lowered all the way down. I just have it, this is really cheap. This was like an Amazon order. So all you do is you try to lower it as much as you can and just snake it right under the bike. Preferably somewhere where you hit the frame and not the actual rear axle. And then you just jack it up. You jack it up until you see the bike rise. Like you do now. The suspension will rise first and the rear wheel will rise later. What you really want to do is pick the bike up and actually center it on the jack. Now, this is going to take a little while, but you want to make sure it's all centered. Not centered, so we're going to take it back down. Pull it a bit towards us. The way both rails have the ability to sit flush on the actual stand and jack it back up again. So after centering the bike and unlocking the steering and jacking it up just a bit more, we should be able to see our rear wheel sort of spinning and a bit more. It's hair here, hair there, just to find the center of the bike. You can actually see better how much teeth are missing from the belt, and if you notice it here, this tooth is about to fall off. Now, is it my fault? Yeah, it is, mostly. I over-tightened the belt, and the torque on this new engine is just nuts. So there you go, the wheel is spinning. We don't really need it spinning, we can just lower it just a bit, and we can start working taking off this cover. I only have 2 bolts here. That's why I do have 2 Allens. There's a 3rd bolt right here, but we don't need it. So this is just 2 bolts were fine, and the 3rd one just wouldn't fit. And maybe I lost the bolt. I don't know which one was it. Pick an excuse. Now you just take off this cover. Shouldn't be too tight. I don't use no torque specs on these covers. They're not mechanically important. They're just what they are, beauty covers. And just like that, this one came off, and now it's this one's turn. Should be tight. The weather does seize these things up. Now, you might be asking yourself, why don't you just convert to chain? Less maintenance, you'd think, and it'll last longer. Metal versus Kevlar, right? Not where I live. The state I live in loves salt, and that chain would go into cardiac arrest with the rust within months, if not less, no matter how well you take care of it. And since this is a workhorse, and I live outside sort of bike, it's not really a garage kept beast. It's gonna get rusty real fast. Seen it firsthand, you know. Not really worth it. I do have sockets for these, but I like Allen's. You know, they're just more positive feel, and I guess you can say Ratchet screwed me over a few too many times before. Not because it's Ratchet's fault, but because it's my fault. Now, both these things come off like this, and here we are. This is actually a beauty cover, and this is the actual what's happening underneath. So we can put it to the side, beauty cover on, and here we have the sprocket that goes from the transmission to the rear wheel. And as I'm touching these teeth, they're not sharpened because it spins this way. It spins clockwise, and these are the size that should have been cut, and they are. You can feel the divots here, and actually you can see like a ridge. My coworker actually found them for me before too, and it's literally digging in, and I don't know what it is, but it is fairly tight because I over tightened it. And I mean, I think it sits in neutral right now. Yeah, it sits in neutral because I just spun the wheel. So I don't feel any sharp here. Once I take off the belt, I will feel these more to see whether these are actually damaging. The edges are sharp, but as you can see, the belt, it sits really nicely in, right in the middle where it's supposed to. Maybe you can even move it a bit back in there, but there's no interference here, nothing robbing that would cause the damage that I see on this belt, and I don't like that. I guess the next step would be, let's take off the shock. We're gonna take off the top of the shock, because when I take the belt off, I'm gonna try to loop it through the back and up. I can actually cut it. It would be easier that way, but let's assume we're doing it the right way. So let's take care of the shock, and for that we're gonna have a little socket right here. It's a Torx, I think T25. It fits in here anyway. Let's see if we can do it in one shot. Sitting on my ass. I wish I had a garage. Anyway, here we go. Let's change it up. Wear gloves. Don't do as I do, just do as I say. I guess that would be the takeaway from here. It shouldn't be too tight. There we go. There we go. Easy enough. We'll see if we can just swing it out of the way. Yeah, we can do it. We can just swing it out of the way. Make sure not to lose the washer in the back. Grommet that's inside. This washer, just push this through. Move it out of the way right here. There we go. That should be fine. So we're pretty much halfway there. All we have to do is just to loosen the axle nut on the other side, and to loosen these wonderful things, which are adjusters. So let's see which one of these two goes on which side. Let's see. First we gotta take off the cotter pin. This pin is pretty much a safety device. Let me take out my pliers. Nothing like Leatherman that's been already broken. Just take it like this, and just snap it out of the way. Voila, and it's out. Let's see if this one fits in here. Yeah, that's one it. Now we take the little nub one, because these are larger. These are big fat sockets. Won't fit on that socket. These are tough. Now that we got it on, we can go ahead and try loosening it. There we go. Come on, go inside. Well, you know, I'm a big advocate of that size does not matter. But when unbolting bolts that are torqued to spec, size does matter, so we're gonna use a little bigger one. Oh, hold up. There you go. There we go. There, come on. There we go. Come on. Ooh. There, it's coming loose. We don't need to unbolt it all the way. We just need to loosen it up enough so we can move the wheel backwards and forwards. There we go. So now that that's done, we can move on to actual chain adjustment, well, belt adjustment, and we just gotta loosen these things up. We're not gonna count how many turns we're doing. You know, we're just gonna make sure that it's loose enough on this side. It's really hard to do it by hand. I don't know if it's a lock knot of some sort. I really forgot. I know I changed those out when I first changed the belt. But we'll see. All these things do, they're pushing the axle backwards and forwards and putting tension on the belt. It's already loose, which is exactly what I wanted. Let's go do it on the other side. Hello. I'm alright, just working. Changing the belt. And now you just loosen it on this side. Like this. Nothing to it. A little stuck because the threads are rusty. Yes. Alright, so this is loose. We're gonna do a bit more so we can push the wheel a bit further in. For that we need to jack it up a little bit, and then we just use some brute strength. There we go. Nothing like brute strength later on. Alright. There's a second bag that I put on this side as well. So now we can get our butt down again and lift it up a few inches until it spins. You know, do a few hits until it goes forward. Make sure this does not block it. Right here. And let's see if we can just slide it off. There we go. And it's coming off. And boom, voila. It's off. Now, it's a matter of snaking it out here through the top, because it's gonna be a little pain in the ass, but it's doable. I've done it before. It's just this rail right here, the frame right here. It's gonna be a little tight. This can of course come off, but then you take off this shock and you have to loosen it here. Let me see if I can do it without, and I'll show you the result what the belt is like. So after fiddling with this thing for a little while, I just decided to loosen this one bolt right here. It's held in with a nut in the back, and now I just probably can just pull this thing out. I know I can because I tried doing it right before I started recording, and now it doesn't want to do it for me. There we go. Now we just take it out on this side. We will move this down. Just make sure not to lose the little washers. Like this. And then we pull it out from the back. And voila! Our belt is out. If you look at the belt, you can see how many teeth are missing. Look at all of this. All this is missing teeth. Jagged or missing. And a lot of these are completely getting loose off the base. Let me find a few. Right here. Yeah. And it's not like this is a no brand belt. This is this is belt that Harley uses, just not branded Harley. Maybe it's the wrong belt with 136 teeth or 128, but I wouldn't see how that would make any difference. So there's like two planes here that have no teeth. One's right here. Look at this. Teeth are just chewed up, just ripped out. And after feeling the sprocket, I mean the pulley, this one is in a really good shape. This like not sharp at all. There's no burrs of some sort. This one, the chrome in the back is peeling off, and you feel a little bit of grime, but it's not sharp edges. That's the thing. So I think this needs to be replaced eventually, but these are extremely expensive. And I mean, maybe you can wire wheel it or something. And hopefully fix this issue, but I don't think this would tear all those things up. I just would not think that'll be the case. I think only during engine braking that would actually matter, but all these edges, they're not sharp. There's grime on them, but I don't feel hard burrs that would cut these things off the way they did. So pretty much that's how you take off the belt. Now we're just gonna wait for the new belt to come, put it back all together, and take it for a test drive. Do a little less adjustment on the old here tension, and hopefully that will solve our issue. All right, I'll see you when the belt comes in, guys.
2 hours later.
Well, it's the middle of the night. Not really, it's only 7 o'clock, but the new belt is here. So what we're gonna try to do now is to go ahead and put it on the bike. The process is going to be the same, but reversed. So I'm gonna bring you back once this new belt is on the bike. All right. Luckily, I have this nice bright light, so I can actually finish my work. Done that before. All right. See you in a bit. Well, the belt is back on. See, spinning the wheel and spinning, which is great. So the reverse procedure is the same. I'm gonna tighten this. Then we're gonna go. We can tighten the shock. After we tighten the shock, we can go tighten the adjuster nuts. And after we tighten the adjuster nuts, when we have them nice and tight, we can go and tighten the axle nut. And then we'll be done. And put the cover back on, of course. So I'll get cracking on it. Again, just reverse procedure what we had before. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'll bring you back once I have it all buttoned up and we go check the slack. All right, see ya.
A few moments later.
Well, it is on. The shock is on. The belt guard is on, and now we have to tension it properly. Now there are tools for that, where you can see, you know, it's a 10-pound tool with like a little weight or something, and when you press against the belt, it tells you whether you're in spec or not. And in a sense, this is supposed to be jumping out, deflecting. It's called, like 3/4 of an inch or something of the sort. Obviously this is a bit too loose, but with my previous experience, I don't know whether it's loose enough or not, but that looks to me like more than 3/4 of an inch. So I'm gonna take trusty wrench and start tightening it over here until it actually tensions the belt a little bit. As you can see, it's loose. I left it loose, and now it's getting a little tight, so we can see it's deflecting a little bit less from the bottom, from the top. Essentially what you want to do, you want to make it tight enough so it doesn't jump teeth on the pulleys. And the pulleys both front and the rear, here one in the back. And the last thing I want to do is over tighten it again. So I'm just playing with it, and I'm pressing as hard as I can. Just want to see how much deflection is going on. It seems to be like a lot of deflection, so I'm going to keep cranking on this one side until I hit the sweet spot, or sweet spot that I think it's right. See, now it's deflecting much, much less, and the wheel spins freely, and I don't see any jumping of any sort. Obviously at these speed's not gonna jump, but maybe it's too tight. I don't know. It feels as tight as the other belt. Maybe not as tight. And I mean, there seems to be, maybe we can loosen it off a little bit. We can always tighten it later. So how about half quarter turn? And it's, how about just go half down? Like this maybe, there we go. And it feels tight, it's springy, it's not staying in one spot, so there's some deflection, there's flex. So hopefully that this much is enough for it to, for it not to destroy itself like it did the last one. I also have this micrometer, if you want to call it that. Pretty much going to measure the distance between the bolt and the end of, between the nut and the end of the bolt on this side, and match it on that side, and then I'm going to crank it all down. So this is an easy tool to use, but a hard tool to master. So we're going to just flatten it up and put it against this bolt right here. And this seems to be right, so we're gonna lock it in. Lock it in, come on, lock it in. There you go. Double check whether it's still the same. And yes, it is. We're gonna go on the other side and make sure the other side is equal in distance. Let's see. And it is not. Clearly, it's not. So we're gonna go and tighten this one down. By hand first. Nope. That's a tough thread on this thing. So we're just gonna go, but make sure this butt plate is square. It's gonna jump around for now. Just tighten it up. Oh, it's getting tighter. There we go. There we go. Someone's alarm's going off. I thought it was mine. And there we go. Let's check it one more time. Make sure we're not going too far. And we're not. Still have maybe like less than a quarter inch to go. Let's just double check here. Yep. Double check here. Yep, gotta keep cranking on it. That way we can have the wheel nice and true. So it won't be skewed. Let's see now. Oh, a few more. I imagine a few more turns, and it'll be fine. I had a sort of like a camera holder for the phone, but I could not for the love of me find it. So handheld it is, unfortunately. But nothing like to document your progress. And a few more twists over the wrist, and we should be golden. Then we're gonna check the tension one more time, make sure it's not over tightened, and adjust it the way we see fit. Attack. Let's try one more time. And we're just about done. One more turn, one more thread line. Let's try it now. One turn back. And we're here. Great. Let's tighten everything else up, and I'll bring you back.
Later.
And just like that, we're back to being finished. Everything's installed, and hopefully we're not gonna have any more issues. I'm just gonna keep track of the belt, just keep checking on it, just in case. It's much looser than the old one. Worst case scenario, just loosen this back up and finish it up. So everything has been done, retorqued to 64 foot-pounds, and the cutup is back in. Bags back in. Back to normal. Now just to pack the tools up. And we're done. I know it wasn't a tutorial, just wanted to document my work on the bike. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Maybe I helped, maybe I didn't. Got questions, ask. If not, cheerio. See you next time. Adios.